the fact that we have passed this resolution is the most serious step that we have taken till date to show our concern and our stand on the ILP. Hence, sir, as of now, as I said, that is the communication that has taken place, the resolution, sending of the resolution, and 3 letters being sent, 2 letters plus 1 memorandum, which has gone from the government to the Ministry of Home Affairs. As I said, sir, the matter is continuously followed up at my level, even Honorable Deputy Chief Minister and other ministers, whenever we go to Delhi. This matter is always discussed, and we are continuously following it up, sir. And the suggestion given that MPs also can communicate this. The MPs are doing it at time and again. Once in a while, we hear them speak about the ILP also. But so we can have a talk with them and communicate and take up the suggestion which the Honourable Member has said. First point is the rise and fall of agriculture produce, especially, and of course of most of the products in general, is mainly based on supply and demand forces in the market. Other factors also as climate, logistics, the season, volume, and source of production also play a huge role in determining the price of the produce. So it is indeed a fact that earlier this year, in the month of April 2022, there was a temporary rise in the price of cabbage and tomatoes in Khasi Hills region. And this was due to the fact that most of these vegetables come from Assam to Yodo market. And by the time the local production does not really generally pick up in our state, leading to demand exceeding the supply and a consequent increase in the prices of these vegetables. The month of April also saw a very high number of tourists also coming into Khasi Hills, which further added to the demand for these different vegetables. Unfortunately, also this year, both our state and the neighboring state suffered heavy flooding, which caused extensive damage to agriculture and horticulture crops. This also caused a huge shortfall in the supply of essential items such as vegetables, causing a sudden increase in the price of cabbage and tomatoes, as mentioned in the newspaper article. So the prices of seasonal crops, especially perishables like fruits and vegetables, are also cyclical in nature. If prices during preceding years are lower, then the farmers sow a lesser quantity of that particular crop in the following year. And this results in lower production of the crops and creates a scarcity, causing a rise in the price of the products. At the global level, another major external reason that was beyond our control and contributed to the abnormal rise in prices and of commodities in general was the Ukraine war. The war began in the last week of April and caused a huge increase in the prices of commodities, especially fuel, from the month of March up to May. The price of petrol and diesel reached a record high during those months. And this led to an increase in transportation cost and thus in the landing prices of final goods to our state. The retail inflation during the months of April 2022 was 90% higher than the previous year, 7.8% in April 2022 compared to 4.2% in April 2021. It should also be kept in mind, sir, that Meghalaya, being a landlocked state, is dependent on road transportation and road transportation for transportation of fuel, the cost of which comparatively is higher, and transportation cost forms a substantial part of the retail prices. So while we are speaking of fuel prices, I'd like to mention out here that Meghalaya has consistently levied the lowest rate of tax on petrol and diesel amongst all states in India. And even as I speak and I stand here today, though there was an increase, the increase was done because there was a huge difference between our rates and the rates of the other states. And hence we have increased the rates, but it is still the lowest in the country. As a state government, it is important for us to balance both the utility and the overall convenience for the public, but we also have to see revenue, as we have to pay large expenditures we have to incur in order to run the state in a smooth manner. And hence, even though we have increased marginally the rates, we are still the lowest rate in the country today, sir. So while I talk of the rates also, I would like to just touch on GST rates, as was mentioned by a large number of the members who had spoken about the rates today. And sir, I would like to state, sir, that this particular rate that was increased and the imposition of GST was put on pre-packed and labeled food, so was a decision that was taken unanimously. There was a consensus on this. And even the states that are in the non-ruling side in the terms of a non-BJP, as was mentioned earlier, even those states agreed to levying this particular tax or GST on this pre-packed labeled foods. So therefore, it was a consensus. All the states and each and every member in the GST Council agreed to it. The senior citizens and the pensions for people with disability and the single mothers will be increased from 6,000 rupees per year to 9,000 rupees per year, sir. So this will really, has been a long demand of these people who have been suffering and not getting sufficient amount. I understand this may not be completely sufficient for them to take care of all their needs. But wherever possible, sir, we are trying to intervene and help the different sections of society in whatever way possible that we have, sir. The last 50 years, we have achieved what we could. Everybody has contributed to this overall development of our state. Few things could have been different, but that's something that we can always say hindsight. It's very easy to criticize. But there has been a lot of work, sir. The question is, what foundations are we laying tomorrow, and how do we today so that we can grow tomorrow, sir? And I want to tell you, sir, and the honorable member, that investment in human capital is the most important investment, sir. Infrastructure, all these things we will create. But if you were to ask me what is the biggest challenge, I keep telling all our officials also and all team members who are working with me that we are a small state. It is only by ensuring that every single individual, every single youth becomes productive in the long run, we will not be able to outgrow the other states, which we plan to do. We have a target to be in the top 10 in 10 years. What does that require? That requires that every single individual has to be able to do more than what he or she is doing today. For that, what do we have to do? For that, we have to promote, we have to support, we have to finance, we have to train, we have to select, have scientific approaches, have proper policy in place, have different funding patterns, have different infrastructures. All these things are required, but in the center of all of this are the individuals and the human resource that are going to make things happen. And hence, we as a government must remember that investment in human resource is going to be key to ensuring that we are able to reach that goal today. And that's why, sir, as I keep mentioning, early childhood development. A lot of people don't understand or don't take the early childhood program very seriously. But early childhood program is so important. We are spending 300 crores in this program, the first of its kind in the country. Is because the child's mind grows the maximum before the age of 8. And hence, if we want to see our children to be more productive, we must invest in their cognitive process, their thinking capacity, their analyzing capacity, the learning capacity while their brain is receptive to it. And hence this early childhood program between 1 and 8 is very critical to be able to produce and be able to train our children to that level, sir. Apart from that, we also realize that there are so many social evils. There's so many problems in society today. Drug abuse is one. We have issues with social media. We have issues with teenage pregnancy. We realize, sir, all of these also require that we guide our children. Sometimes we realize that after the child is, has done the wrong thing, started using drugs, we blame the children. Well, they are to blame to some extent, but I think we are equally to blame as parents and as political leaders, as officers and people of society, where we have maybe not done our part. So what I'm trying to get at is, sir, is that as we move along, these areas of mother's health, these areas of nutrition for the child, these areas of early childhood development, proper vaccination, so these are proper, guidance during the adolescent age, proper guidance during the teenage age. So these are the important areas in the long run where we'll need to focus, because without the human capital, without people being there, without productive people being there, all the programs we make will be of no use. And that's why we realize, for example, colleges. So we're realizing that we have about 80,000 colleges. We have close to, I may be wrong, sir, I don't want to be quoted exactly with this, but we have less than 70,000 seats in these colleges. And we realize that we have a population of close to 4 lakh plus who are college-going children, youth. Now, if 4 lakh children are there, of that age group, at least 30% of them should be, according to the national average, be in the colleges. And hence, you require seats for at least 1,50,000 children to study in colleges. Now, we don't have that, sir. And that's the reason why Honorable Minister has said we need to focus on more people's college. And as we move along, we will try, depending on our financial resources that we have, we will try our best to ensure that more colleges, people's colleges come up. I know that there's a huge demand for it, and it's required also, but obviously, sir, we have our financial challenges in that area, sir. So, sir, apart from that, as I said, there are many areas that are there. I can continue to speak on that, but, sir, in the interest of time and in the interest of other motions that are there, I give my submissions, and of course, if the honorable member has any other further clarifications, I'll be happy to clarify. But as I said, sir, that the coming 50 years will be very exciting, and there are a lot of important things that we will need to do, and many things that we have done has been with that mindset of looking forward in 50 years. As was correctly mentioned by the honorable member himself, that we have been doing 50 years, we have been not able to resolve the border issue. It's about time that we came together and found a solution to this and not play politics with this issue. We had so many smaller minor issues that are there which also needed resolution but could not be resolved. We are working towards those, sir. We realize that infrastructure is important and we need better infrastructure in the coming days. We have implemented and put a lot of stress on infrastructure, as you could see from the first part of my reply. And obviously, sir, the crux is at the end is with the human capital that we have. And we have made all our efforts to move in a very scientific manner to be able to address that particular issue also, sir. One of the best ways to ensure that we are able to address this issue is to economically empower our women. And this started the journey for us to look into how the self-help group movements can come in. And I have spoken about this hundreds of times, sir, in this house, that most probably the story of the self-help group movement in Meghalaya will be one of the best and the most satisfying stories that we can tell, sir. It's not about the numbers we achieve, sir, as I said, but it's the difference that we are making in the lives of not just the mother of that house, but in the lives of the children and the entire family who are dependent. And this story is something, sir, that is worth really understanding and going into. And the other day I was in Morankneng and we were talking to some of the self-help groups, and I was telling them that it's not just about your group. You may be a group and you're doing, getting some revolving fund, and you're getting, capital investment fund, different kind of loans. We have released almost close to 380 crores in the last 4 years for different financial supports to be given to the self-help groups. But what we are telling them is that we have created an institutional network and a system. It's like putting wiring, sir. So today, the wiring that we have done is connecting every rural household to this program. And very soon we are coming out with an app that is going to now connect all these 4.5 lakh women who are part of this massive self-help group movement. Almost one from every rural household is in this movement. And tomorrow, sir, it's like, as I said, like wiring. So tomorrow, anything we would like to, message we'd like to send, or programs we'd like to implement, we can do it just with a click of a button or just activating the different systems that are there. And that is really the beauty of what has happened in the last 4.5 years. And I must put it on record, sir, that this has been possible, not because we said that you have to do it, but this has happened because of the hard work of the officers who are behind it, sir. There was a different level of commitment that I saw in the workers and the officers who worked in this program, sir. I was one day reading a small message that I saw given by some particular officer who told me that one particular junior officer in that district walked for 7 hours to reach a particular village just so that he or she could form a self-help group of about 15 women. And that kind of passion that they had has what led to the overall success of this particular self-help group movement. And the reason I'm spending so much of time in this, sir, is that, as I said, it's not just a self-help group movement. It's linked to the mother's health. It's linked to the family's health. It's linked to the child's health. And when I say health, I don't mean just the health of physical health, but the financial health, the overall social health. And this has an impact like no other program will have, sir. And that is why we started connecting these dots. We connected the fact that the self-help groups need to be formed. We realized that the child's nutrition has to be improved, and hence the nutrition was given. And as you're aware, sir, the SAM and MAM children percentage from 90% today has come down to less than 10%. It's a huge improvement, and even Government of India has congratulated the state government for achieving this.